Made a mistake, and this is probably going to destroy my marriage, but how do I tell him that our 3 kids are not biologically his? But the guilt is eating me alive. Honestly, I'm scared he's gonna divorce me, and then what? Then I lose everything.
This is exactly why more men are getting DNA tests. I'm not saying paternity tests should be mandatory, but no man should be forced to raise a child who isn't biologically his. And this Gypsy Rose story gets crazy. She married Ryan while incarcerated, they split in March, and she filed for divorce in April. Then she got back together with her ex, Ken, and announced she was 11 weeks pregnant. That puts the conception around April, the same month she filed for divorce. But here's the problem. Under Louisiana's marital presumption law, Ryan could still be considered the legal father. So unless Ryan signs an affidavit or Ken takes the matter to court, Ken might not even be listed as the father. And that's exactly why paternity laws like this are so controversial.
Children that aren't theirs. And the following story is wild. Gypsy Rose Blanchard married her husband Ryan while incarcerated. In December, Gypsy was released. In March, they split, and in April, she filed for divorce. In May, she confirmed that she was back together with her ex-fiancé, Ken. Then last week, Gypsy announced that she was 11 weeks pregnant with Ken's child. This would put the date of conception around April, the same month that she filed for divorce. And this is where it gets interesting. According to People magazine, as stated in Louisiana law, if the mother is married to someone other than the biological father when the child was conceived or has been divorced for less than 300 days at the time of birth, the husband/ex-husband shall be the presumed father, unless paternity is established for the biological father. With this law in place, the only way that Ken's name will go on the birth certificate is if Ryan signs an affidavit that Ken is the father. If he doesn't, and Ken wants his name on the birth certificate, he will have to file a motion with the courts, and the courts will make all 3 of them take a DNA test to determine the father. This is called marital presumption of paternity, and it's not just—
Honestly, this is just a heartbreaking story, and I do believe that if you had mandatory DNA testing at birth, then this would have never really happened. This whole situation wouldn't have had to play out in court. Don't swipe now. Come back here.
Is now a crime? Yeah, let's talk about House Bill 2689, because they locking y'all up.
I'm going to make my money one way or another. Even if that means locking you up, I'll make my money off of you being locked up. Please peep the game.
Oh yeah, and this hookup culture? Oh yeah, that's a wrap, because they're making it so you can no longer get child support off of one-night stands. If that man wasn't in your life, let me tell you.
Not only are they making it mandatory for the man to get a DNA test before he signs a birth certificate, but now they're like, look, you're not going to be able to get any money off of this man if he was not actively, long-term, a part of your everyday life.
Oh yeah, it's true too. And if I could add on to this bill, you know what? If all these fathers are paying these high amounts in child support, why not give the child to the father? Yeah, that's coming too. I mean, what you think?
I'm going to be honest enough to admit that a man would probably be more—
Oh, yeah. It's true, too. And if I could add on to this bill, you know what? If all these fathers are paying these high amounts in child support, why not give the child to the father? Yeah, that's coming too. I mean, what you think?
Our daughter, our 5-year-old daughter, went and got tested today.
Okay.
And it said that I am—
Wait, why you take my baby to go get tested anyway? What do you mean? What kind of test, first of all? She should be taking—
I went and got a DNA discovery thing so you find out where you come from, and kind of find out the child doesn't come from me. Yeah. 5 years, I can't even go crazy right now because the kids are asleep. So I'm trying to stay calm.
You raised her for
We
5
have 3
years
children,
anyway.
and the last one is not mine. How's this possible? Well, we know how it's possible, but guess what? Because the kids are asleep, I'm not going to turn violent. I'm not going to call you a bunch of names or cause a big scene. But you and that 5-year-old, who I do love, is going to have to leave the place.
No, because I pay bills here too, and her brothers and sisters is here. You ain't never about to separate my kid.
You are on none of the bills with your name. Technically,
yeah, okay, whatever.
You don't have your ID that says you live here. 1, 2, you see what that says?
Why would you do this?
What you mean, why would I do that? Are you serious right now? Now I don't give a shit. What do you mean, why would I do that?
That's still your child.
No, that's your child.
You raised her for
No,
5 years.
that's your child. And yes, I do love her. I'm not denying that.
I mean, you're not.
But I can't continue to raise a child that's not mine. I'm not doing that. What kind of father would I be to my other 2 children to show them the kind of weak man raises a kid that's not his?
What kind of man raises a child?
It's absolutely heartbreaking that she has no remorse, no sympathy, and she doesn't even seem to care, and she would rather argue than admit her wrongs.
Year-old daughter, and it came back negative, but I never cheated. And now he wants a divorce. And after a lot of silence and anxiety, I finally had a conversation with him. We discussed a lot of things, but I told him I would literally never cheat on him. I told him a list of tests that I really wanted to take to prove it to him that it was a faulty test. He told me he didn't want to hear it right now, so we're gonna talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. Although this is really hard on him, he did say that he still loves our daughter and that he won't try to kick me out of the house or our room again. I have no idea what to do. I feel like I'm being punished for something that I literally didn't do because I did not do it, and I would never cheat on him. At the end of our long conversation, I did ask him to hug me just to feel a little bit of reassurance, and he did, thankfully, and that made me feel a lot better. But I'm still just so scared that I'm not going to be able to convince him that it was a faulty test. I don't know how I can be a good wife and support his needs while also...
So, I just did some research, and the chances of an incorrect result on a test like this is actually less than 0.001%. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible, but the husband probably should redo the test if she really thinks that she is innocent.
The father, and if they start testing everybody, that number...
What? Well, I guess that's probably selection bias, to be fair.
Only go up, not down. They're actually starting to jail time the ladies for maternity fraud.
This needs to go nationwide, but at least it's the first step.
True.
Progress, not perfection.
Sure.
But in the meantime, because you...
It's weird to me that they don't just do this as a default.
Be surprised just how many of those kids belong to another man.
The problem with child support is that it's calculated based on how much money both of the parents make.
Yeah.
The more money dad makes, the more he pays, but the more money that mom makes, the less she gets. This absolutely incentivizes people not to be successful, which is not making the world a better place, it's making the world a worse place.
That is stupid, by the way. Yeah. I'm okay with a man having to pay. Like, I'm a child support supporter. Whenever you have a kid, like, you shouldn't look at what's best for the kid, or sorry, what's best for the mom or what's best for the dad. You should look at what's best for the kid. And I think that a society that doesn't put the best interests of its children and young people first is a society that's doomed to die. Everybody knows, like, custody court is, like, rigged in favor of...
Those of you are in Tennessee, guess what? House Bill 2689 is getting ready to pass. That is requiring paternity tests before you sign the birth certificate. Because, you know, once when people do paternity tests, near of the time, they end up not being the father. And if they start testing everybody, then what? Well, I guess that's probably selection bias, to be fair. Only go up, not down. They're actually starting to jail time the ladies for maternity fraud. This needs to go nationwide, but at least it's the first step. True. Progress, not perfection. Sure.
For the parent, not for the child. I use my child support money to go to the spa, let's say. Why? Because if I'm not stress-free, if I'm not relaxed, there's no way that I can take care of my children properly. I've always said that child support is a reimbursement for the parent. Therefore, the parent could use it as they choose. I bought my brand new car with my child support money. I also use my child support to fund my vacations without my children. Why? Because I deserve it. My kids have everything and anything that they want, and more. So what about me? That's exactly when child support comes into play. So just because I use the money on myself doesn't mean I'm selfish at all. To be the best version of myself, I gotta make sure that I'm taken care of. And if that means spending every single nickel, dime from that child support, then so be it.
But in the meantime, because it's weird to me that they don't just do this as a default. You'd be surprised just how many of those kids belong to another man. Problem with child support is that it's calculated based on how much money both of the parents make. The more money dad makes, the more he pays. But the more money that mom makes, the less she gets. This absolutely incentivizes people not to be successful, which is not making the world a better place, it's making the world a worse place. That is stupid, by the way. Yeah. I'm okay with a man having to pay. Like I am a child support supporter. Whenever you have a kid, like you shouldn't look at what's best for the kid or what's best for the mom or what's best for the dad. You should look at what's best for the kid. And I think that a society that doesn't put the best interests of its children and young people first is a society that's doomed to die. Everybody knows like custody court is like rigged in favor of women. In my eyes, honestly, if a woman is against this or at birth she is demanding that there not be a DNA test, then there is probably something that she is hiding or trying to conceal.
I decided to get a DNA test on Mika, and the DNA test came back, and I just found out I'm not Mika's dad.
Come on, that's fine.
I'm so serious. How could you do something like this to me?
Do what?
I've been in this baby life since she was born. I signed her birth certificate.
That's no baby. You can't be speaking this right now.
And you laughing, and you think it's funny?
What?
You had me thinking that she was my baby for 7 years?
No, it's more than it.
And I feel like you're making jokes about this whole situation when this is serious. I'm so hurt right now. We spent so much time together. You so wrong for misleading me like that for all these years.
He broke two major rules of the Bad Boy membership. 1, not taking a paternity test and understanding that a paternity test is mandatory for all children in all situations. 2, signing a birth certificate without...
I shouldn't have to say it, but this is obviously a horrible way of thinking. And that child support should be meant for your child. And unfortunately, this does happen every single day.
I was sorry. I apologized about that. Mistakes happen. But this don't have nothing to do with her life.
Hey,
I'm not her cousin party.
I'm sorry, baby. Y'all need to leave.
No.
Y'all need to leave. Y'all need to leave.
You're not gonna talk to my sister
like that. Talk to your sister. You're not gonna talk to my sister like that, bro. Leave, bro. Like I said, bro. Leave. You're not gonna talk to my sister like that. But you
Look here.
You're not gonna talk to my sister
between
like that,
y'all
bro.
two. But don't put
y'all need to leave.
No.
Y'all need to leave. Like I said, y'all need to leave.
Because the assumption of first of all, mandatory, good grief, but the premise of it is that my wife is sleeping around.
Okay, so
I'm quite confident my wife is not sleeping around.
The woman feels icky for a little bit, but then
the man feels I would feel quite icky.
Wait. The woman feels icky for a little bit. Fine, maybe the man feels icky.
Certainly he would. You're calling his wife a whore.
It prevents men from being put on child support and raising kids that aren't theirs.
You're saying they're
and if people want to opt out of it, fine, you can opt out.
So it's not mandatory.
But
it's voluntary. But there is voluntary.
Misleading me like that for all these years. He broke two major rules of the Bad Boy membership. 1, not taking a paternity test and understanding that a paternity test is mandatory for all children in all situations. 2, signing a birth certificate without taking a paternity test. If he did take a paternity test for probably honestly less than $100 at birth, then he would have avoided this whole situation.
Probably going to destroy my marriage, but how do I tell him that our 3 kids are not biologically his? For context, my husband is an amazing man, bought me this beautiful house, these wonderful rings, nice cars. He treats me and our kids amazingly. He's never cheated on me. He's just always been a good man. But the guilt is eating me alive, honestly. On days like this, it really gets the best of me, and I don't know how to resolve this problem. I mean, I'm scared he's gonna divorce me, and then what? Then I lose everything. Like, how am I gonna lose all the stability that I have? So I'm just really looking to see if anybody else has been in this situation and can give me some advice. I already know some of you are gonna judge me and assume the worst of me, but I'm really a good person. I'm not gonna let this mistake ×3 define me, because in my heart, I love my husband. How do I tell my husband that the 3 kids that I have...
The most heartbreaking thing about this whole situation is that these children and these kids had to basically deal with this and hear their parents arguing about this and basically finding out that their father who raised them is not their father.
Their parents would need to be tested at birth. We're not seeing why that's a bad idea. 1, that's going to lead to the government storing our genetic data. They're not going to take every single American's genetic info and just throw it away. 2, imagine a man cheats on his wife, God forbid with a teenager. What do you think he's going to do to her when he realizes she's pregnant and he has to do a DNA test? But we don't care about endangering women or children's lives, right? I know. And 3, who gonna pay for it? Because the government sure isn't, and I'm not paying to get a DNA test because you too scared to ask your baby mama for a paternity test. The real solution here that a lot of people...
That's exactly what I just said. This baby is not mine, Michelle. Have you talked to her? Have you seen her? Have you... I'm sorry, I ain't trying to raise my voice. I apologize. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just want to understand as to why I had this responsibility on me and she know this baby not mine. This your daughter. That's the only person I can call to get in contact with. This is your child. I understand that, Miss Sharon. I know this don't got nothing to do with you, but at the end of the day, this baby has nothing to do with it either. This is not my child. I'm watching over, I'm paying, taking care of this baby, and it's not my child. I don't care about the money that I spent. I don't even want that back in reimbursement. I don't care about it. I just want my money. This is your daughter. This is your daughter. This is supposedly the parent of this child.
There's no good way to tell someone bad news. I just can't believe this woman told her story on TikTok and asking for advice before she actually just, talks to her husband like a normal person. I've said before that a law making mandatory DNA testing at birth is a terrible idea, but men decided they wanted to argue with me. So, I'm going to readdress the issue. Mandatory paternity testing at birth is a terrible idea. If you choose to get a paternity test at birth, that's on you. I truly do not care. Mandatory is the key word here. Mandatory DNA testing would mean that every child born into the United States plus both of their parents would need to be tested at birth. We're not seeing why that's a bad idea. 1, that's going to lead to the government storing our genetic
that he has been raising for 3, 5, 10, 15 years simply because the DNA test shows that he's not the biological father. Hear me out here. I'm not being insensitive. I know that his world has just been turned upside down. I know he feels betrayed. He's devastated. I empathize. I sympathize with his predicament. However, how is one able to walk away from a child that one has bonded with, loved, nurtured, poured blood and sweat into, simply because the DNA test shows that you're not the biological father? I understand getting rid of the wife or the girlfriend. The word I actually want to use starts with a W and rhymes with sure. Get rid of the W. But the children or the child, the innocent child, it is flummoxing to me. Now, I'm not a man and I do not know how this impacts men. I also know that there's deep shame. But where I'm in that predicament, of course I would be devastated. I'd be hurt and betrayed. But then I'd let the children know or the child know. You may not be my biological child, but you're still my child. I love you. You're my child in my heart. I've bonded with you. I've raised you. So nothing changes. Now I know a lot of men worry about, then I have to continue paying I have to pay child support now that we're not together. So what? I'd pay the child support. Because you know what? Even though everything has changed, nothing should have changed because it's still the child that I raised, bonded with, and loved. And in an attempt not to pay child support, one ends up cutting off one's nose to spite one's face. Because you got to look at the big picture, the relationship with that child, the continued relationship, and the ability to go ahead and raise and nurture that child because you already have that bonded relationship. But once again, because I'm not a man, I do not understand how anybody can walk away from a child. Story time. My husband had a boss about 20 years ago. This gentleman's son had some medical issues. And to make a long story short, he found out that his 19-year-old son was not his biological child. Needless to say, he was devastated. But you know what? He had raised this child for 19 years, was paying for college. This was his son, and he was not going to let him go. And my heart broke for him, but I was so proud of this man because he did not walk away from his child. And I think at times some men might think walking away from the child is a way to punish the woman for her betrayal. But at the end of the day, the person you're hurting is the child. And I can't help but wonder, won't you be traumatized as a person walking away from someone that you've bonded with, that you've loved? For the man, isn't that traumatic? I mean, I really do not understand. I just cannot relate. And once again, I'm not a man. I'm sensitive to the hurt, to the pain, to the betrayal. But is it right to walk away from a child you've bonded with simply because the DNA test shows that you're not the biological father?